In today's video, I'm going to provide you the feedback for OET writing. So this is going to be extremely important for anyone struggling with OET writing because many of you keep asking, why am I stuck at C plus? Why am I getting 300 or just 340? What exactly makes a response become grade A? And honestly, most students think my grammar is the problem. Not always. Sometimes your grammar is already okay. But the real difference between a C plus, B, and A comes from the case note selection, clinical tone, organization, conciseness, and professional fluency. So today I'm going to show you something very powerful. We will use the same case notes, the same patient, same task, but we will compare a mid-level response versus a grade A response. And I'm going to explain you exactly why one scores lower and why the other scores much higher. Okay, let's begin now. So assume that today's date is 12 May 2026. You are a community nurse at Green Valley Medical Center. Using the case notes below, you have to write a referral letter to the physiotherapist, Mr. David Collins, requesting further management for the patient's chronic lower back pain. Okay, I'm just going to give you the patient details. You can go one by one. So the patient details here are the name is given as Mrs. Anita George, date of birth 14/8/1978, address is 22 Hillcrest Avenue, Melbourne, and the medical history chronic lower back pain for 3 years, type 2 diabetes mellitus diagnosed 2020, mild obesity, sedentary lifestyle, no previous surgeries, and the recent consultations 15th March 2026 complained of worsening lower back pain after prolonged sitting, pain radiating occasionally to left leg, difficulty performing household activities, prescribed ibuprofen, PRN, advised weight reduction and stretching exercise. On 20th April 2026, minimal improvement, reports disturbed sleep due to pain, frequently absent from work, MRI results mild lumbar disc degeneration, referred for pain management education. 10th May 2026, pain severity increased, walking tolerance reduced, expressed frustration and emotional stress, interest in non-pharmacological management, referral recommended for physiotherapy assessment and structured rehabilitation plan. Okay, so for this you are going to write a response. Let me show a sample response here. So here you can find the date, Mr. David Collins, physiotherapist, City Rehabilitation Center, Melbourne. Doctor Mr. Collins, regarding Mrs. Anita George, date of birth, so and so. I'm writing to refer Mrs. Anita George for physiotherapy because of her chronic lower back pain, which has become worse recently. Mrs. George has suffered from back pain for around 3 years. She said the pain becomes worse after sitting for a long time, and sometimes the pain goes to her left leg. She also has difficulty doing household work. The patient has type 2 diabetes mellitus, mild obesity, and sedentary lifestyle. She was prescribed ibuprofen when required, and she was advised stretching exercises and weight loss. However, there was only minimal improvement. MRI showed mild lumbar disc degeneration. Recently, the patient reported disturbed sleep, emotional stress, and reduced working ability due to severe pain. She was also absent from work frequently. Mrs. George is interested in non pharmacological treatment and requires physiotherapy management and rehabilitation plan. Please assess and manage the patient accordingly. Yours sincerely, community nurse, Green Valley Medical Center. So, this is the response that I have given. If I am going to tell this response gets only C plus or low B, you get scared, right? This is where most students finally understand what examiners actually want because many people look at this response and think, looks fine to me. And honestly, it is understandable, not a bad response at all. But OET is not only checking, can the examiner understand you? They are checking, can you write like a healthcare professional naturally and efficiently? That's the difference, right? So let me list out the problems in this response. The first problem here is look at this one. Because of her lower back pain, which has become worse recently. So this is grammatically okay, but it sounds very basic, right? And you can compare that to a stronger clinical phrase like for further assessment and management of progressively worsening chronic lower back pain. So you can feel the difference, right? The second one, what I told, sounds better. It sounds more professional, more concise, and more medically fluent. So that immediately increases your score. And the second problem is information is reported, not prioritized. You can identify the difference between the reporting and prioritization, right? You can look here. She also has difficulty doing household work. This is okay, but this sounds weak. A higher level response explains why this matters clinically. For example, you can tell like her symptoms are increasingly affecting daily functioning, mobility, and occupational attendance. This will suddenly increase the functional impact, right? The referral feels medically justified and the purpose becomes stronger. So that you call it as an advanced OET writing, not this one, because this one is not prioritized. And the third one is vocabulary range. So you can look at the structures like the patient reported, was advised, the patient has. So these are correct, but it sounds kind of repetitive, right? Grade A response use more variation. They will use smoother transitions and more natural clinical phrasing. So examiners notice that immediately. And the final problem here is you can see here, please assess and manage the patient accordingly. So this is very vague. OET referral letter should clearly tell why you are referring, what you want the reader to do, what outcomes are required, not like those vague sentences. Got it? Now, I'm just going to give you another response. If you want, you can just pause this video, kindly go through this sentence by sentence, then you can understand the difference immediately. So, here in this response, it's not just only about the grammar. You can identify the tone, fluency, organization, professionalism, and prioritization, right? Can you look at this response? This response definitely give you grade A. Now, this is where the big difference happens. And honestly, many students think grade A means complicated vocabulary everywhere. No. Grade A means efficient professional communication. That's the secret. Simple, right? You can look at the opening. For physiotherapy assessment and development of a structured rehabilitation program. So, this immediately tells the reader why the patient is referred, what support is required, and what action is expected, right? So, this is very precise. Then you can look at this structure significantly affecting her mobility, occupational functioning, and the quality of life. So that is excellent functional prioritization, right? So the impact is medically meaningful. And then you can identify the sentence flow. Despite conservative management, her symptoms have shown minimal improvement. So here, this one is very concise, very clinical, very natural. Nothing feels robotic. So that fluency matters enormously in OET. And the next one is you can notice something important here. What I have written here, I did not copy every detail mechanically. Instead, the information that I've collected, what I have organized here is grouped, prioritized, and clinically connected. So that is exactly what high scorers do. For example, increasing functional limitation. Can you see here? This one. Yes. So this summarizes walking difficulty, work absence, reduced mobility, and daily impact in one elegant phrase. So that's advanced summarization skill. And the overall important thing that I want to tell you here is the response sounds calm, confident, concise, and clinically mature. Nothing sounds emotional or conversational, but at the same time, it still sounds human. That balance is exactly what OET examiners reward. Okay? And one final thing, never write to impress the examiner. Never ever do it. You have to write to help the reader manage the patient efficiently. That mindset changes everything. That's all for today's video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more OET tips. See you in the next video. Bye bye.